All right, so today we're talking about 5 things that you should absolutely consider before moving to Rochester, New York. And by no means am I saying don't move here because of these 5 things, but what I'm saying is these are things that you need to consider in making your decisions to move here because they could impact a lot of different things. And so without further ado, number 1, we're talking about taxes. We talk about taxes a lot. We live in New York State. Taxes are a necessary evil, I suppose, when living in New York State. I will throw up a link to a website. Depending on what town you're in, you could be talking $10, $15, maybe $20,000 in taxes for your property. There's so many people who have looked here. They've been looking at houses here, and then they see what taxes are, and they're like, holy crow. You know, we were just gonna move here out of just because we wanted to, not because of necessity. So just because we want to, why wouldn't we move somewhere that's a little bit cheaper? And while yes, you can get homes at a very affordable price, being $250,000, $300,000, in a lot of that regard, we are, much cheaper than the rest of the country. However, those taxes will greatly impact affordability. When you're talking more than 50% of your mortgage payment is taxes, that's pretty significant. And that's not every single mortgage payment, right? But depending on where you're buying and what house you're buying and, the local municipalities, you could be looking at more than 50% of your mortgage payment is taxes. And that is wild to me. That's one thing that is just insane to me, right? But moving on to number 2 is that Rochester is fairly slow to adapt. And, I say that because there's a lot of things I know just from my business that a lot of people don't adopt quickly. We are a medium to small size city. And so, a lot of these bigger cities do pick up steam. They pick up certain trends and whatnot, much quicker than we do. We tend to lag behind, I'd say at least a month or 2 on certain trends and business practices and, policies and things like that. That's one thing personally I really despise about the area because, obviously I'm here on YouTube teaching you guys all these things that I feel like you need to know before moving here and trying to help you with that transition, which, by the way, reach out to the information on screen. I'm the guy that answers text, emails, and phone calls. I would love to help, but this is out of the realm of business practice in Rochester. I think there's 2 channels here, me and one other guy. It's one of those things, like, if you're looking for a forward-thinking, innovative type area, Rochester wouldn't be it, because it just seems that things pick up much slower here. For example, the way that we do real estate, the way that the towns and the attorneys record information in real estate is so much different than many other states across the country. And it just seems like it's just inundated, or it's just everything is kind of out of touch. It's just there's no steam being built, right? And so if you are innovative and you like to kind of pick up new trends and things like that, Rochester may not be the place. So just reconsider that. Number 3 is local politics. I'm not talking about who you vote for and all this kind of stuff, right? What I'm talking about is, if you know the sheriff and you're doing 100 down a 30-mile-an-hour road and that sheriff pulls you over, you can get off, right? That's the kind of, what you see in the old Western movies or whatever. If you know the sheriff, you can do whatever the hell you want. Well, that's kind of like the Rochester area in a sense. Not exactly that, that's a little bit extreme, right? But if you go to a school and you're playing sports, if you're not a big name in that school, sometimes it doesn't matter how good you are, you might not get the starting position over coach's son or over coach's friend's son, right? It's like, it's one of those things that, unfortunately, it's not always a meritocracy. Sometimes, depending on what schools you're going to, it might be who's the best known, you know, whose parents are the best known, whose parents are paying the most money to get their kids known, right? That kind of thing. And that's, you know, growing up a little bit disadvantaged, I'd say. That was one of the frustrating things, is just because when you're talented, you're skilled in different things, whether it's a sport or music or art or whatever, and you're not being recognized because you're not the senator's son, you know, like, it's a frustrating thing for many kids, and that causes them to quit or just lose self-esteem, or it makes kids and parents kind of lose trust in the system, right? And it kills a lot of dreams too. And I'm huge on letting your kids dream big and pursue their dreams and doing things like that, right? And a little philosophy, oftentimes we are the ones who place these restraints on our kids, so therefore they won't go far. But instead, if we let them pursue it to their fullest potential, fullest degree, then they will do amazing things, right? Sometimes your environment is that restraint. Sometimes it's the local politics, the people that you don't know that are kind of the restraint in that sense. And by no means am I saying that's everywhere and that's super prevalent, etc. But what I am saying is it is out there and people notice it, people talk about it. If you do something wrong in one of these towns, there's a good chance people are gonna know. So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like being kind of secluded. They don't like their name being out there. They don't like, you know, the whole local politics thing. They just like keeping themselves. Or they believe in meritocracy and they want a fair shot regardless of who they know, and they just want it based on their effort and their you know, their merit, which that's kind of how I roll too. And sometimes it can be hard depending on where you are in the Rochester area. It is, you know, something that you can recognize it. And I think that's a super important point to bring up. So that's kind of why I'm telling you here, just be expecting something like that. And we're cruising through this video, moving right along to point number 4, and that is a lack of a quality job market for new workers. New, you know, like people graduating college, coming out of school, or maybe never holding a job for that long before, like a qualifying job, right? So there are, the local job market here is great. Like for a majority of people, it's great. However, if you're a new worker, if you don't have 7 years of experience, if you don't have a master's or doctorate degree, chances are you're not getting a very good job. I hate saying that because I'm a firm believer that degrees don't really matter and that your skill set and your merit actually matters. How good are you at your actual job? But a lot of the employers around here, you know, they'll have a starter type job, but then they're saying, okay, well, we need 5 years of experience and a master's degree. And it's so frustrating because as a new worker, you're like, well, this is the beginner's job. This is the beginning, like the lowest job on the totem pole. How do I not qualify for this? You know, it's a little bit, it can get ridiculous. And, you know, a lot of people recognize it. And that's why some people move out of the area because they're like, where do I get my shot? Where do I get my chance? You know, I went to school, I got a bachelor's degree. That's what I needed. I worked some jobs here and there. I did bartending, I catered, I did whatever, but never held a big corporate job like most people don't in high school or college. So how the hell am I going to qualify for these jobs? And the answer is you kind of have to hope you get lucky, in a sense. You got to hope that an employer might be generous enough to waive a certain criteria or whatever. Like, that's one of those things a lot of people will move out of here for, is just opportunity for new workers. And then they might go to another state, get some experience under their belt, and then come back here and work. Because the jobs that are out there are great jobs, even if they are a beginner type job. But even a beginner type job is not for beginners. It's for somebody with a little bit of experience, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But hey, it is what it is. If that's what they want, that's what they want. Again, I wish things would change, but I don't necessarily have the power to do that. Maybe you do, but I don't. So, but my job is to educate you on what's happening in the area, so that you can make an informed decision on what you're doing, on your, on your potential move to the area if you want to. So moving right along, again, moving very quickly through this. Number five, last but certainly not least, and I know this plays a huge role in many of your guys' decision making to moving to a new area, and specifically what area you're going to move to. And that is the crime and safety of the area. I think something to consider about the Rochester area is that not everywhere is safe. I have a lot of clients who text me from out of state, and they're looking for areas, and unfortunately I can't tell you where you should move to and where you shouldn't move to and whatever, but I can give you a crime map. You can go to neighborhoodscott.com. You can go to niche.com. You can go to the Rochester Police Department Crime Spotters website, and I'll try and link all of those in the description as well for you to go look at and see exactly where the crime's happening. But chances are, if you're near the city, there's probably going to be quite a bit of crime. Just like any other city out there, there's going to be quite a bit of crime. So what we see most people doing, most people tend to remove themselves from the city a little bit, and they tend to kind of get out and get into some of the suburbs. And you can get into a place like Brighton where it's still dense, kind of city feel, but you're not in the city, and it's a much safer area. You can also get into a place like Henrietta, or even potentially like Irondequoit or Webster, which is still very close to the city, but that crime and safety is down significantly. So there's certain areas of the city that are good. A lot of young professionals live there because of proximity to where they work and whatnot. But then there's some other pockets that maybe you don't want to go into. You don't want to venture off into uncharted territory, right? So I know you see it if you've done any amount of research about Rochester at all. That's why I'm saying last but not least, because if you've done any amount of research about Rochester at all, you've probably seen crime rates, and you've probably seen it in the news that Rochester is not very safe. So I wouldn't say personally that it's not very safe, but I would say that certain areas aren't very safe, and you certainly want to be careful of where you're going to. So with that, guys, I hope you got something from that, the 5 things that you should consider before moving to the Rochester area. And again, by no means am I saying these are reasons for you not to move here. Absolutely not. Every single area that you go to is going to have pros and cons to it. This is just a video of 5 of the things I have identified, and a lot of the locals moving here, or people moving here, relocating here, have identified that I thought maybe you should know. Because, my job is to make sure if you are gonna move here that you're educated and you're well informed about the area, and that you're not coming in and being like, oh man, this place is a crap hole or this place is terrible. And you know, because it's not all that bad. But I do want you to know about the things, just so you can make informed decisions about where exactly you go and what exactly you're doing when you get here, and you know, where you're placing your family. Because I care a lot about people and their families and making sure you're making good decisions for them. That's not my place to actually do that, but it's my place, being the professional here, to actually educate you so that you can do that. That's very important to me. I take that very seriously. So if you guys have any questions at all about moving to the Rochester area, be sure to reach out to the information on screen, ask your questions. I love fielding all your questions, helping you move here, doing whatever, whether it's 9 days, 90 days, I'm here to help. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Hit that thumbs up button, because that helps me grow and reach more people just like you who are looking to relocate to the area. I love what I do. I love doing this. I love helping people make good decisions. So be sure to share the love. But that being said, guys, we'll catch you on the next video. Peace. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.